Hi, it's Richard. Welcome to the Conscious Marketer podcast. Hi, Kylie.
Hey there.
And we are here to talk about relevance in the market today. And it kind of goes without saying that you want your marketing to be relevant, but often what we see is that I think the word evergreen sometimes gets thrown around a lot. And an evergreen program is, I think there's like this mythical program that you create once, and there's this idea that you just get it out and it just sells endlessly forever, and just you just collect your check every week or every month. But the challenge, I think, one of the challenges with evergreen programs is often they become irrelevant quickly. The other thing about relevance and online and program launches is there's this idea that you can like kind of batch record stuff, or that you can even relaunching programs. You don't have to like upgrade your programs and just relaunch old programs. But often what we find is that you become a little irrelevant because you're not really matching what's happening in the market. And so this is something to be aware of, and we see it more often than you would think. And so we wanted to kind of talk a little bit about it. What's your kind of perspective on relevance in the market and its importance, Kylie?
Sure. Well, first, I want to just second what you said about this mythical evergreen funnel, because I've been working with people for over 10 years in this industry, and everybody wants to have that. And the only time I've ever seen it work is for people that have seemingly unlimited budgets and huge teams. And then they can test it all day long and put, $10,000, $20,000 worth of energy into getting that evergreen funnel. But then, as Richard says, like, how relevant is that program going to be in a year or 2 years or 3 years? I mean, if you're teaching law of attraction, maybe, but most of us aren't. And even the way people consume something like law of attraction is going to be different. I'm not a consumer of it myself, but like 3 years ago versus how the consciousness has shifted on the planet, a lot more people think some of that, they question that type of a thing more. And so your program has to then address what's happening in the cultural consciousness around your work.
Well, I think the last couple of years, even more so, because we've had so many different kind of macro events happen in the market. And so there's been a necessity to pivot a lot of the messaging on individual programs, and a program that might have worked a couple of years ago actually doesn't even work. Like the concept, it doesn't even work potentially today. And so I think there's something about relevance. And also I would also say that I think one of the things that you can do, one model to make whatever you do, because we talk about like your core, your anchor program, and have a base program, but what can make it relevant, or what can make it interesting, is that there's still a live portion to it. And just this last week, I was talking to an author who wanted to relaunch something but not do any live component, and I was like, yeah, but you did that course like over a year ago. And it's like, what you don't realize is the Q&As that you did a year ago are going to be so different. People are going to be asking like different questions. So I said, look, you can relaunch the primary content, but then what you're going to want to do is add, live calls, so that the new people coming through there have an experience of you, have an experience of what's working and what's not. In internet marketing, something that might have worked even 6 months ago might not be working right now. So like a Facebook ad campaign or a Facebook type, like we're seeing this now, even like, because as an example, text-based ads perform a lot worse than they did, say, a couple of years ago, where we're having to use a lot more video. And so if we're trying to rerun that same ad campaign, it's very obvious that ad isn't relevant anymore because it performs so bad. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Kylie, but Facebook's ads kind of like almost like the mirror for relevance in the marketing of what's working and what's not,
I think with paid traffic, because I used to run paid traffic campaigns, is you get the immediacy of what's happening in the market in like an hour, whereas other people might not. get that if they're trying other things. So if you are in touch with that type of thing, you can see, oh, okay, well, people aren't responding to that headline, or they're not responding to that image. And you get it so fast, it's like, oh my God, okay, we got to pivot. And then just like, instead of being stuck in how I think about things and what I think is good and what I think worked 5 years ago or 2 years ago, I have to go with what's working now. And I have to take my ego out of that, because I do think that certain things are better than others. And I do think that certain things should perform better than others. And if they don't, I need to go, okay, they don't. What else can I do? And, talk to our ads person about that. And we work as a team. And it's not just about ads. If you're not running ads, it's about everything. It is about your offer. And I think that even Eckhart Tolle does Q&As in his courses. So when you're talking also about this live component, the most famous, well-known people that are offering spiritual or consciousness type courses, they're also showing up and doing some type of live. I always encourage people to do some live component. I pretty much do all my courses live. We have a hybrid course. I think that's also great, but I would never try to sell something that was just recorded. Now, there's going to be some people that are listening to this that are like, well, I do it and it's great, and that's fine. But I would say that's the exception, not the rule. People are no longer, there's so much information out there for people to buy. They're not buying information anymore. They could get it for free probably at the library, if or the internet. If all they wanted was information. What they want is transformation, and they want community, and they want some hand holding, and they want you to be there for them. And that's what they're paying for. They do indeed want the outcome that you're offering, but they want that outcome delivered in a certain way. And that's going to require a little bit of personal attention. So I'm with you on that. I really do believe in the hybrid model or the live model.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always a fan of some interaction, and generally the courses that don't have that tend to be significantly less money, and I think we tend to try to launch, like a $27 thing that you just go through or whatever, something like that, or even 97. So I think we tend to, our particular client base for the Conscious Marketer Agency, we tend to launch more like $300 programs or $2,000 programs, like higher ticket, or even $20,000 things. So when the price goes up, there has to be that greater degrees of intimacy generally goes along with price. Not always, but it's pretty common. Let's steer the conversation a little bit and just talk about like how to make, so I have a program I created a year ago. How do I make it relevant today? And so I think it might be, there's probably a couple factors we could look at. So I wanted to kind of bring those to the forefront. So I think one of the first is just, what's the overall market sentiment, or what are people feeling? What's the psychology in the market like right now, And so sometimes that can be fear. Sometimes that can be greed. Sometimes it could be pain, and every market's different. So you could have one market segment that was feeling one thing and another market that was feeling another thing. And so whatever market you serve, I think I have what I call the resonant energy frequency, this ref. So what's the resonant energy frequency of your particular market? If you were marketing to the European market, the past 6 months, you have this war thing going on with Ukraine and Russia. It's affected everybody, and their resonant energy frequency is that of needing more safety, insecurity, a lot more volatility. Where if I was marketing, I don't know, to somebody in, Australia, they might not be feeling that actually, So if you're marketing something down there or offering services down there, it could be a completely different resonant energy frequency of your market. So tap into that, and what you need to look at is, if it's a new program, how am I going to align with what my people are feeling, what they're going through now? And then if it's an old program, you want to be thinking, okay, a year ago, what were they feeling? And then how has that changed? And how does that change my messaging to those people? And where you look to the messaging is, do I need to redo the video? Pro tip, normally you do, okay? Do I need to redo the emails? Normally it's Kind of. Normally you have to work on some of them. Sometimes you have to rewrite the whole batch, which really is painful. Do I need to redo the ads? Sometimes you do, or sometimes completely a new set. The sales page, does a sales page need to change? So basically every touch point, every piece of copy, every video that you've done, you just have to look at it. Now, if you look at the resonant energy frequency for the particular avatar or the client you serve, and it's the same, then hey, that maybe you have something that you don't have to actually to touch too much. But then you have to ask, well, if I just launched it a year ago, do the people want the same thing, or do I need to find new people to market the same program to? And normally it's the latter, because they've already seen that old offer. So then you have to find a new batch of people. So I don't know if you have any comments on this resonant energy frequency, because I know that you, as a copywriter, this is a hidden talent. Kylie is one of the, in my opinion, one of the best Facebook ad writers on the planet. But like, you tap into this feeling, and can you share a little bit more about how you would look at it?
I agree essentially with what you're saying, where you have to look at what's the primary emotion. And I remember a campaign that we were working on in 2020, and we had all the copy written. And it was like maybe January, February, where we had this copy written, and then lockdowns happened like a week before we opened the cart to the program.
Right.
Had to change like 80 pages of copy just on the fly. Did I have to do that? Could I have just said, hey, people still have these same emotions? Yeah, we probably could have done it, but it would have come across as very insensitive, and it wouldn't have made as much money, and it would have maybe even made that author like take a reputational hit. So we did what we needed to do to rewrite all of it. The launch was very, very successful. We were able to speak into what people were going through at that time, and kind of same thing with ads, with emails, with landing pages, with all the copy, with all the messaging. It's got to be nimble. You got to be flexible. You got to be able to be flexible psychologically, time-wise. And when things change as fast as they have been since that, and it's 2022 and things are continuing to change at lightning speed, we have to understand that people's problems are going to change. Your solution might always be the same. You might always be like me talking about story-based marketing is going to help you connect more. But how I talked about that 10 years ago versus now is very, very different. So I do think we just have to be flexible, and we have to move fast and not be attached to ourselves. I think I say this in a lot of our episodes, and I think it's true for all these different things we're talking about. We can't be attached to ourselves. That's why marketing has been a greater spiritual practice for me personally than like the 10,000 hours of meditation that I put, that I did, because you can meditate and still avoid yourself. But I could not do marketing and still avoid myself, because I'd get really pissed off about these types of things. I'd be like, God, but I know it's good, and why isn't it working? And now I'm like, have this attitude of whatever is working, let's do that. And I say that on our team meetings all the time. I'm like, hey, whatever's working, that's what I want us to do. And so whether it's your front end messaging or your actual packaging of your program, be quick. And that's what's so cool about doing it live, right? If you're trying to sell these batched out recordings, you're going to have to re-record everything. If you're teaching it live, you may just have to tweak 10 to 20% of your presentation, and it doesn't matter. So I really believe in that. I've always taught storytelling. I can't sell the storytelling courses that I created even 3-4 years ago. I've learned more. The market has changed more. And I have become so unattached to my own self in my marketing that it's okay for me to do it. As long as I'm being of service to people, then I will make those changes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think there's this resonant energy frequency and who you're serving, and then there's just the wider market. And so just being aware of what's going on in the wider market, and that can be economic, it can be trauma-based, it can be it could be what's happening in your local community. Sometimes communities are going through different things, and so if you combine kind of what's going on inside your avatar, which could be very different from what's going on in the economic environment, and then just adjusting your launches to that, And then here's the thing, you can't just kind of do this once. It's kind of like every time you go out there with your offer, like ask this question, is this relevant? Or how can I make it more relevant? How can I adjust the copy? And then the people who do this fast and pivot are the people who really, you gain credibility because people come to you and they see you as somebody that can guide them during, say, the changes in the times. And people are always looking for that. They're always looking for somebody that can help them navigate whatever they're going through in the current times. And so not only does it make your program sales better, but you actually can grow your lists and you can build more credibility for yourself, because you're serving people in multiple ways, you know. So I think that's important too, because that, you know, I guess we don't like to use the word influencer, but I do like to use the word status. I want your status to increase in the market. And sometimes we talk about, you want to be the person that people go to find out what's happening and what they should do next, or what's happening in the market. If you can become that single source that people go, there's things going on, business is getting volatile, I need to turn to Conscious Marketer, I need to turn to Kylie, then it's not so much that you've won, it's just that your status is, they see you as the person they need to turn to at least better understand the world. I don't say, you know, tell them what to do, because we would never really want to tell anybody what to do. We want them to make their own decisions. But guide, I think, a guide or mentor would be probably the terms that we use.
Love it. Yeah, I like that word mentor also. It makes sense. So definitely believe in your ability to do this. First of all, it could seem overwhelming, or it could seem like I have to do all this work. But the more that you do it, the easier it becomes, you know, and the more that you find the models that work for you, you can become more fluid with them. That's how I see it.
Yep. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. That should be like on our t-shirts or mugs or whatever. So
That's the thing. That's the thing.
So thanks everybody for joining us on this episode of the Conscious Marketer Podcast. To get the show notes, you can go to consciousmarketer.com/podcast. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. If you've enjoyed one of these episodes or we've gotten something that's useful, just leave a review. That really helps us out. And the two ways you can work with us, people are always reaching out through messaging in our Facebook group, the Conscious Marketer Path. We have two ways. We have an accelerator, which is basically a 90-day program where you work with Kylie and I on your story and one launch. And then we also have a really amazing mastermind that we've started. So if you have a business that's 6 figures and above and want to learn how to scale and grow your business, we have a higher level mentoring group. And so you can reach out to us via private message or via support at Conscious Marketer if that's of interest to you. Thanks everybody for joining us on this episode, and we look forward to being in touch. Thanks for now. Bye-bye.